Okay, good morning, class. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, Fine. Okay, so we were discussing the fifth module last week. So there were three topics. I have discussed one, which was technical report writing, right? Now we are left with two more topics, which is how to write a project proposal and how you write a research paper. Okay, so I'll be starting with today. I'll be discussing how to write a research paper. Okay, so this is a relatively less complicated topic than the project proposal. So, project proposal I'll be teaching in the next class. And next class, I had told you from 23rd we will be starting our internal assessments, right? But since I could not take the class yesterday, so what I will do is that next week, Wednesday, we have a double period. So first I'll teach you project proposal, which will be our last topic of a syllabus. Okay. And then I'll give you a break of like 10-15 minutes. And then we will start with the, your internal assessment, your oral presentations. Okay. So this is for the next week. Today we will be discussing research paper and we will be finishing off with this. Okay. So now I had told you earlier also. Now, the fifth module, it will be useful only when you go for higher studies or, maybe in your fourth year, if you are going for some internships or if you plan to, build some startup or you have some innovative idea, you have conducted some experiment, only then this module will be useful to you. Otherwise, at the Btech level, it, it's not that mandatory. Okay. So research paper. Now, has anybody come across research paper or do you have any idea what research paper is all about? Can anybody tell me? Have you seen research paper, gone through, maybe not gone through it, but just at a glance? Do you know what a research paper is, class? Anybody? No one. Okay, fine. Um, what is the department we have downstairs in the first lobby? The left side of the lift, metallurgy and mining, metallurgy and material science, right?
Ma'am, we don't know.
We
Oh,
haven't
sorry.
come to the college.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I had forgotten that. Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, so no, then I was going to give you that example. Fine. Um, okay, as for the research paper, now, one thing I think all of you are well aware that, when we had this pandemic going on, um, and so many vaccines were coming up in the market and its effectiveness was being studied, so we have all read in the newspapers or heard in the news that the Lancet study has found such and such things, right? I think most of you must have heard it. Now, what is this Lancet study? Okay, now Lancet is a journal. Okay, maybe group of scientists coming from different fields: physics, chemistry, molecular biology, uh, virologist. So many different people are there. They must have conducted some kind of study, concerning that particular vaccine or the virus, and then they had experimented and come up with certain results. Okay, now those results were published in a journal in a proper format. Now, what that format is, that we will discuss. Okay, but I'm just giving you an idea what a research paper is. In a particular format, they had presented that study. Okay, and then it was published in that journal, and then that journal, made it accessible to the other people. Like it may be open access, or you can buy that article. Okay, so it is for the general mass, interested mass. Let's put it that way. People can be from the academic background. People can read even, if you're just interested or inclined towards a subject. So, this published format of a particular study, okay, is called a research paper. Some research has been conducted. And research, as the name suggests, you are making some probe, okay, some experimentation, some explanation, analysis, okay, probing, investigation. You are doing all those things. So those aspects constitute research, okay. And when you put, your study, your research in words, the results, you discuss them, then it is published in a journal. It becomes accessible to the academic masses, general masses, the interested masses. Then it is, a published research paper. So, have I been able to give you an idea what this research paper is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, then let's come to the details of a research paper. Okay. Now, some of the research articles, uh, if you continue to stay in the, academic field, like if you do your PG, PhD, you would find it more relevant at that time because you would require, to make some kind of studies in your area and you'll come across research articles. Excuse me. So you would find that there are many research articles which do not have good publication record. Okay, they must have got it published in some not so good journals or may have paid for their publication. Okay, so those are not very useful, right? Or they may not be very trustworthy research. Let's say that. Okay. So, if it is a good research paper, there are certain salient features that must be there. It must be a valid publication. So, the journal, like Lancet, is a tested and trusted journal across the world. Okay. So, if anyone, or Nature, okay, it's a journal. So, if anything is published there, so people would be like, okay, this if a study is published here, so it must be trustworthy. We can look into it, okay, we can assess its importance. But if it is some unknown journal, okay, and you do not have any idea, who the editors are, or who the publisher is, so you may not be ready to accept the study there, okay, published there. Now any write up, it must assess inferences. See, when I was talking about these vaccines, the studies made on it, so the companies which were manufacturing the vaccines, they were coming with certain reports. Okay, they obviously had to sell their product. They had to show that it's very effective, nothing like it. So when another study is being conducted to study the correct efficacy, of those vaccines, so they are doing what? They are actually assessing the other inferences also, okay, and the references. They're verifying the results. Okay, if the AstraZeneca vaccine, okay, if they're saying that it is 90% effective, so let's just see whether it is 90% effective or not. So they are verifying the results. They're evaluating the intellectual processes. Okay, now all these things are put in words, okay, paragraphs, words, headings. So when you're putting it in words, headings, so it must be error free, at least grammatically error free. Captions, correctness of data in tables and figures must be there. Okay, there must be some prevalence and of the others, previous studies which have been conducted on that area. Some amount of that literature survey should be reflected in your study. Okay, and it should be relevant to the current world at least. Now you cannot study something, about something which has happened long past and which has no significance in the present world. Okay, then your study holds no meaning. right? So something which will have, some kind of implication even in the present world, okay? It will contribute in the area of research. The research paper must reflect all these things. Otherwise, it's not a good research paper. So, in short, what are the purposes of writing a research paper? Basically, a research paper is written to understand, to remember, a, to obtain a perspective. Okay. Now, whatever you have written, you just don't, or you have found out, you don't want to keep it to yourselves only, or to the few people involved in that study. You want to disseminate, the research finding and results. After you do that, you would want to get feedback from the academic community. Okay. Now, this will ensure some kind of scientific communication. Just keep in mind the studies which were conducted on the vaccines. So you would see, each of these things, uh, is suitable for the study conducted in case of vaccines, right? Now, when a study is conducted, obviously you will have some results which are worthy of reporting. There will be a progress of scientific thought. With that, you will be able to reach out to your broad audience. It's not only the academic community, but what did I say? Now, this COVID had impacted everyone. So the vaccines which are coming out, it was for the general masses. So any study which was conducted, it was of interest to all. So broad audience was being, reached through that. There is an improved chance of promotion. And then lastly, if you conduct a research and if you have some solid path breaking report and you do not report it to the academic or to the general public, then it is very unethical. So in short, these are the purposes of writing a research paper. Okay. Now, there are three main components of this research paper. What are these? First is the overall idea. Then, is the execution of the work. And thirdly, is the presentation of the work. You know what you are studying on, right? You know what experiment you are conducting. So, and you know what kind of result you will get from that experiment or study. So there is this overall idea. But all these things have to be presented in a proper format, okay, in order to be accepted for publication and to make it eligible for dissemination of knowledge. So comes the execution, how you are putting it in words. Third, thirdly is the presentation of the work. Okay. So overall, how you have executed your plan and how you have presented, okay, finally matters. Okay. Keeping these three components in mind, we have to look into the structure of the manuscript. Okay. Now, for the structure of the manuscript, keep in mind, this subheadings. Let's the topics, subtopics, which needs to be there in the manuscript. First, you have the title page. Okay. Then you have the abstract. Then the introduction. Fourthly, you have the methods. Fifth, you have theoretical framework. Sixth, results and discussion. Seventh, conclusion. Eighth, acknowledgement. Ninth, reference. And 10th, you have tables, captions, figures, captions. Okay. Now let's take each of these, which constitutes the structure of the research paper in detail. First was the title. Okay. Now what do I mean by title? Now your research paper. Okay. See, it's very different from an essay. In essay, what? We were given a topic, we were writing on that topic. Okay. And it was completely imaginative, creative. But research paper is not imaginative or creative. Yes, creative to some extent because uh, you have come across some kind of study, okay? You have come across some kind of results. You have conducted an experiment. So creativity is there because you're thinking, but it is not entirely, the product of your imagination. There is some solid, finding which provides a kind of backing to your study or experiment. Okay, so. You know, to make it more catchy, attractive, you will have to give a title to your research paper. Okay, it will make your research paper readily accessible. To the masses. Suppose people know about your the title. Okay, so if they search on the search engines, Google, Yahoo, and it is published. Obviously, we're talking about published research paper. So people will be able to find it easily. If it is without title, then it becomes something like name based. Even if it is a good study, people will not be able to find it. So title it should be simple, not very long, okay, attractive, accurate, and it must be connected to the entire subject matter of your study. Okay, it cannot be something different. You're talking about something and your title does not reflect that idea. Okay, then it will be totally contradictory study. Okay, not related. So, and then you write the author's name and the author's affiliation. So, an experiment may be conducted by one person, two, three people, okay, any number of people. So, you write the names of all those who are involved in presenting that work, okay. Affiliations of the people are also required, the authors. By affiliations, I mean, where they are associated with it, the institute, the designations, okay, and the contact ID. Contact ID usually means your email ID. Keywords should be there. Okay. Now, by keywords, I mean, suppose you have conducted a study on, let's say the studies have been conducted on the COVID vaccine. So, some keywords can be vaccine, COVID, the name of the vaccine, the company, efficacy. So some 4 or 5 keywords, it will make it easier to access. If you put those words in the search engine. So this is for the title. Then you have the abstract. Okay. Now for the abstract, it is very short, precise paragraph. I would say one paragraph, 150 to 200 words. And what does this 150 to 200 words tell you? It gives you, a brief idea, overview of what the study is all about. Okay. And how you have conducted this study. What is the purpose of this study? How you have conducted this study and what is the conclusion of this study? So, in 150 to 200 words, you have to provide this much information. This abstract portion is very important when we talk about research paper. Why? Because there are some people who do not have the time to go through the entire paper. Your paper may be of 20, 25 pages long. Okay, but some people do not take the pain of going through the paper. Your abstract must be insightful. What they do is that people usually go through the abstract. If they see it is relevant to what they are looking for, the information would be relevant, then only they go through the entire paper. Otherwise, they just ignore it. So it's a very important part of the document. Okay, the manuscript. After your abstract, you have the introduction. Now, in the introduction, okay, what do? You introduce the topic. Okay, what you are researching on. Why this is relevant. Okay, what is the purpose of your research? If some previous studies were conducted in this area or not, the significance of the study, you know, all these things are included in the introductory section of your paper. Now, once you have clearly stated these aspects, okay, in your introduction, you come up with your methods section. Now, in the methods section, what do? You tell, how you have conducted your study. Okay. Suppose these people who are conducting the research on the vaccine. So, what their method would have been? They would have taken, some volunteers, some 50, 100 volunteers. Okay. Some people suffering from COVID, some not suffering from COVID. Some were administered the doses, some were not. Okay. And then, they were conducting, some kind of comparative study and see how, the difference is reflected. Whether the person, administered the doses, they were performing well, or those not, they were performing well. So if they are administered the doses when they're exposed to the virus, are they being affected by it or are they not? Okay. Or what is the chance of, getting the infection? So it was a kind of, survey, okay, taking human subjects, volunteers. Okay. So this is one type of method which was used by them to study the efficacy of vaccines. One can also go for, just data collection, sampling, okay, then interpretation of that data, and then, include those in the methodology section. Now, data, it can be primary or secondary. By primary, I mean that, you yourself uh, have engaged yourself, to collect the data, to conduct the sample study. Okay. It can be secondary also. Secondary means that, you have got the data from some source. That source needs to be authentic, reliable. And then you interpret, analyze that data and see if it is feasible for your study or not. Okay. So these type of methods which are adopted to conclude the study is called the methodology portion. Okay. Then you have the theoretical framework. Now, theoretical framework, this is an important section, of the main research paper. Why? Because it tells you, how theoretically it contributes or enriches the existing literature, okay, in that field. Theoretical framework needs to be developed, which must again be taken up in the conclusion, and the discussion section. Clear statements must be written there so that, you can say that, your results can be substantiated with that theoretical framework. This is what I'm contributing to, the present study, contributing to the existing body of knowledge. Okay, that must be clearly stated. Then comes your results and discussion. Now, what is the purpose of conducting so many experiments, taking human subjects or some other sample? You must have come across some results, found some results. Okay, so you need to explain what these results are in words. And while you are stating the results, you actually discuss them. Okay, it's not that, you just say that. Okay, people who were not administered the doses when exposed to the coronavirus, uh, such percentage of people got infected. This is result. Okay, you do not just end with it. You actually explain, why this happened. Then you'll give in some scientific details. There was this virus missing, there was that thing not happening. Okay, so in scientific terms, you will have to present that. You have to discuss the results as well. Next comes your conclusion. Now, conclusion, it's not like the conclusion of your essays, which we have written, in our school days. Just, tying up the loose ends. No, not that. Your conclusion means, you talk about the results and you say, how they are relevant to the present study, how, they have enriched the present study, and what can be the future scope of such studies. Okay. If there are any limitations to the study, one can mention that in the conclusion. Okay. This conclusion section is entirely different from the conclusion we write, for normal essays. Okay. Now, this includes, how you uh, place, the study you have conducted in words, how you put them in words. After conclusion, an important section is the acknowledgement. Okay. In acknowledgement, you say, if you're indebted to someone, if somebody has helped you in the study, if you have got some fund, for conducting your experiment, if you are not indebted to anyone, if you have not received any fund, you just say that you just leave the space blank. But if there is anyone whom you think you should thank, then you give that in acknowledgement. You're actually acknowledging somebody's contribution. Okay. Then comes the references. Now references are important. Why? Because see, your study is not the first of its kind. You must have got your idea from previous studies. Some previous studies may also have been done in that area. So you put all those things in your references section. Okay. References actually shows that you have actually put in that effort to conduct a research. Okay. It's not out of thin air that you have written something. Then tables, figures are there. Now tables and figures, they are not uh, mandatory. If you have tables in your studies, figures to be included in your studies, then only you include them at the end of your papers. If you have not made use of any table or figures, you simply don't include them. Okay. So far, we have discussed the structure of the manuscript. Have you followed class? Any question?
Ma'am, could you explain theoretical framework once again?
Yes. Now, when I was talking about theoretical framework, I had already talked about the methodology. Now, after the methodology comes your theoretical framework. This theoretical framework actually, consists of clear statements, of your um, study. This is what, your intention is. You will find it in your study. Okay. And this is how it is going to contribute to the existing, uh, you know, uh, body of knowledge. Okay. Once you have clearly stated those, you can use those same statements when you are discussing your results and discussions, because there must be some link between the theoretical statement and the results and the discussion. Your theoretical statements, which are the clear cut statements of what your study will be all about or is bound to be all about, cannot be different from your results and discussions. It cannot be contradictory. So it will kind of substantiate your results and discussion. So it is an important section of your study. Okay. Just saying what it is going to be all about, is bound to be all about, and how it is going to contribute to the existing body of knowledge, why it is important. That's the theoretical framework, that section. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to simplify it for all of you because you all are just in the first year, and it's really not necessary for you to know what a research paper is. I'm repeatedly telling you, until and unless you go for higher studies, this is not very important. I mean, of no use to you all. So I'm just trying to simplify things for you so that you can understand. I'll be uploading this handout on your classroom. You can go through it. Okay.
Ma'am, will there be any question from this part in the final sim?
Obviously,
I mean, what kind of question? If you give some example.
what kind of question? Maybe you will be asked to imagine some kind of experiment you may conduct, or you would be contributing. Okay, and you would be asked to write a research paper. Okay, a very small one, two sentences. We will just see the structure, or maybe we'll ask you what is the structure of the research paper. It depends. Don't worry, you all are in the first sim. We are not going to give you very difficult question. Wait, now let me just upload it. Okay, I've posted it in your classroom. Just see whether it's accessible or not.
Yes, ma'am, get it.
Okay, go through it, but we don't have time, so go through it at home. Okay, so next week we will be discussing proposal framing, which will be the last topic. And then after that, we will start with the internal assessments. Okay, so you can convey it to all those who are absent today. And we will be going according to the roll number from the first roll number and accordingly. Okay, one by one.
Ma- Ma'am, on
Yes,
Tuesday, right?
yes, sorry, on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday and Wednesday we have classes. Yes, on Tuesday, 22nd.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, we will be starting. We were supposed to start our assessment from 22nd, but half the class I'll teach and then I'll start with the internal assessment. Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
In the assessment, when time the assessment.
Time. Like how long you'll have to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, minimum 3 minutes, maximum 5 minutes. Try and keep it to 3 minutes because there are many students. Okay. Any topic of your choice, you'll be required to speak for at least 3 minutes. It will be evaluated out of 20 marks. And I'm not going to give you, more than one chance. Okay. So you need to
Okay,
prepare
ma'am.
well. Okay.
Ma'am, which topic?
Any topic, any general topic of your choice. It can be any topic of your choice.
Oh, can you give some examples?
Uh, if you have recently read some book, you can talk about that. Okay. You can talk about if you are into, traveling, trekking, you can share your experiences. Okay. If you have found something to share, you can talk about that. You can talk about your experience, of this IIT joint entrance, anything. Such general topics. These are just examples. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
Okay,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes.
In the assessment, our camera will be open.
Yes. Yes. When you are
Because
speaking,
I in
when
that
you
time,
are,
sir, ma'am, I am in outside, ma'am.
never mind,
Maybe.
we will only see you for 3 minutes. But I need to see your expression also so that, I can get an idea that you are not reading out from a paper. Okay.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
when you are talking, only for those 3 4 minutes, you need to switch on your camera.
Ma'am, how we have to start like like we in speech we start that type we have to start or directly we come to
Yes,
topic.
you come to the topic, you introduce yourself, and then you start with the topic. Okay,
Okay.
like you do in case of speeches. It's something like a speech only. Individual presentation, it's like a speech. We are not going for PPTs. I had already told you we don't have that time. It's uh, individual presentation. You can call it a speech as well. So you introduce yourself, the topic, and then you start detail. Talking it about it in detail. Any other question?
Ma'am, will you take practice on research paper?
I'll take what?
Practice on research paper.
Test on research paper.
Practice on research paper.
No, 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 no. Just go through the document I have given you. You'll get question from that. Don't worry. Any other question, class?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. So I think we can end the class today. Yours? We'll meet again on Tuesday. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.